Welcome to Tarot Wednesdays. I'm doing these episodes a little differently, or they're new. So I basically do a short, and then if you like the short, I suggest that you subscribe to the channel and watch the full video on my channel. I greatly appreciate your support. All of the subscribers, returning and new, make the channel possible, and I do enjoy this creative outlet. It is very fun. These videos are for entertainment purposes and educational purposes, so please definitely consult your doctor, and if you are in a life-threatening emergency, call 911, please, and there are other sources as well. So this card just fell out. It actually fell out upside down, the Hierophant upside down. Okay, so here's how it looks upside down and backwards, because this is the vice versa tarot. So join me in the full reading, which this is now the full reading. And this is the Hierophant reverse, which is one of my favorite reversals. In this particular deck, I had to grab it because it's the Rider-Waite deck, but every character in it is facing backwards. So it's just a different perspective of the same picture. And the Rider-Waite deck I've learned a little bit more about in the recent past, and I have been it is one of the more well-known tarot decks. Rider-Waite, all right. Before I keep going, I'm going to say a quick prayer. I pray that God bless and protect us and make whatever message that come through here clear and uplifting and inspiring and true. And thank you, God, in advance for answering our prayers. And all glory to God and blessings to all who we've ever met, who we will ever meet, and to whom all we are meeting. And to those who consider themselves or us or me or you an enemy, may God bless and protect them as well. Hallelujah. So, the Hierophant reversed is a matter, it's like that necessary rebellion. It is when the powers that be are not actually following spiritual laws. And thus we have people, like the Gandhis of the world, the Martin Luther Kings of the world, the Mother Teresas of the world, the Winnie and Nelson Mandelas of the world. There's been many people over the years that have been jailed and punished in the recent past for their ideas, for the wordage that they use, for the content of the information that they share, anywhere from information not being a certain kind of religion or politic, but you can also see the same thing in the household, where maybe the parental, or this day and age even the child unit has too much control. There's always a power struggle. So this is a matter of like a power struggle. Singularly, that's what I read this card as, and it's the necessary rebel. It's that sacred rebel, that Saint Patrick kind of character that, frees the slaves and reminds people of what God really is and what power really is. And that often is, I love the quote, when the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world would know true peace. And this card appears in it to me when the powers that be are out of line, and there's a misuse of power. So so for instance, like right now at the bottom of the deck, the King of Pentacles is sitting reversed, and that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. The King of Pentacles, right up, would be a somebody who is a father figure. They provide, they're consistent. They share the wealth. They take care of their family and their responsibilities. They might not necessarily be what you would consider like exciting, like spontaneous exciting, because they are consistent. You couldn't expect them to be. And that's why they're that kind of like husband, I would even say boss, I don't know, father type person that if reversed would be not sharing the wealth. They have a wealth, but they're not sharing it or using it wisely. And so that the Hierophant came out reversed, and then the King of Pentacles is sitting here reversed. That's telling me that there's a power that be, there's a masculine force that is not sharing the wealth, and there's this great speech of I think it was Robert Kennedy, giving a speech to a graduating class, like from like Yale or Harvard, and he was saying to this class, you people, you guys have resources that most people don't have, and beware, like use these resources well, because it will backfire if you don't. You have a responsibility to use these powers wisely. And that man got shot. He would be considered then a Hierophant reversed. The fact that kind of person, or like Martin Luther King spreading information about peace and freedom, that they get, or Tupac, that they get shot and killed, speaks for itself. Like, why would anybody want to stop that? So, yeah, so that's exactly what that's about. And the thing is so if we're in this moment of letting go of this, you're getting revealed to yourself. This is what I've learned, is like, specifically today at this moment in time, there's a solar eclipse happening, and there's a new moon in Aries. And so there's just this ending and this letting go of things. And it's harder to let go of things that you judge, because then you find yourself judging yourself for the very thing that you think you put down. The very thing that you let go still is a part of you. And it's really just a matter of having outgrown, like, a pair of shoes, like a metaphorical pair of shoes. Like, I just don't fit in these shoes anymore, and I have to get myself a new pair of shoes to keep fucking walking. And not all stores let people walk in without shoes on. It's not that kind of society, I guess. It's not a matter of judgment. It's just a matter of growth. Even, a hermit crab, if you give a hermit crab a new shell, they have to, if you keep giving them a big shell, they'll keep getting bigger, and I'm trying to articulate what specifically I'm getting at with this letting go. And it's like, because of the energies that are happening, it's really apparent to me that the parts of myself that I deem unlikable or that I don't like, I see in other people, and I find, and I'm lucky that I'm able to stop myself and be like, ooh, how can I be annoyed at this person? I've never met this person to be annoyed at them. And even if, like, I can't go by that first, right? They say don't judge a book by its cover. How can you be annoyed at anybody that you've never met before? You know, even if they look some way that you don't like, even if they, you know, and I've had this trend in my life, I'm telling you, for years, where I will meet these guys and they look the same, they act the same, they have the same air about them. We'll meet, we'll have some kind of just bonding moment. Like we'll have a cup of coffee and a good conversation, talk about something. But by the end of that day and that conversation, we will be arguing with each other like a married couple. And I have to stop the conversation and say, we do not know each other, like to be talking to each other this way. Which begs the question, why do we talk that way to those that we're closest with? And then, so putting your foot down with yourself is loving yourself. It is saying to yourself, I love this idea that, like, you know, like with parents that have too high expectations of their kids, it sucks because it can really hurt to see your parent be disappointed in you when they have impossible expectations, and that's a different thing. But sometimes they do have fair expectations of their children, and I think it's pretty beautiful, the idea, well, at least, you know, your expectations were, wow, look at that, you had such high expectations of me that you actually thought that I could accomplish that. Wow, thank you. You know, and we can look at ourselves that way when we set goals for ourselves, because sometimes, like they say, it's not the darkness that we're worried about, it's the light. It's we tend to get more afraid of our own. I'm not the first to say this. Like, if you have a power when you can walk into a room and a room goes silent, like, that can be a pretty overwhelming experience. And there's a card in this deck, in the Handel Tarot deck. How you doing, girl? Who is Parzival, and he represents in traditional tarot, please stay off the bed. Don't try me. No, B. Don't. She's so cute. I love cuddling with her, but I can't handle, she rolls in dirt and stuff. I don't get. Good girl. So Parzival is a character whom I'm kind of drawing a blank about right now, but in this particular picture, he's holding the cup, and he has found the Ace of Cups. He's found the Holy Grail, and he's realizing his power. He's going, oh my God, I'm the one that holds the key. Not only to, basically, I mean, it sounds boring, like, I'm the one that holds the key to my life. It's a fantastic place to be, because you are the one that holds the key to your life, but it's also bigger than you. It's also bigger than us. It's this thing that is like when you get like a stroke of genius, like it's like beyond you. It's like, where did that come from? I don't even feel like I can take credit for that. When I started having strokes of genius, I couldn't tell if it was good work, because I thought, is this just good work because I think highly of myself and I'm just like, think it's great just because I think everything I do is great and I'm just proud of myself for even trying? Or is it like actually good work? Like, how can I decipher? How do I know? Like, and I really don't know if there is an answer to this, really, like what makes good art. I mean, there's plenty of people who I'm sure have an answer to it. But I mean, when you go into an art museum and you see a canvas with a splot on it, and they're charging $1 million for it, what does that mean? What's good art? What does that mean? And I think people like that. It makes people stop and question what is good. Like, why is that profound? Why is that a profound piece of work? And not to say that it isn't, but it is to say that it's kind of opens this door where people start saying, anybody could do that. I could do that. You know? I've had people with my artwork, they would have no problem hanging up my artwork if I gave it to them. Here, take this. I did this. Have it. But the minute I bring money into it and I say, okay, that's going to cost some money. I wouldn't pay for that. It's crazy. What adds value. And this necessary rebellion, because like in Christianity, you know, there is a request, a demand, a need to submit and to not, you know, you honor your parents, you know, you're respectful. You have to move through the world with respect and honor the rules of the places that you're at. I don't know if that's just Christian. I think that's, I mean, common sense too. Like to just be respectful of wherever you go. If you don't know the rules, you know, you kind of have to learn them. But in the Christian vein, you know, to be rebellious, I think really is touching actually on like a matter of patience. But I think that Christianity can sometimes come across as like a little bit of like if you read into some of it, or it seems like a little bit slave-minded, and so you have to like you have to look through what that's about. Like, why would God want, like, it's important that you do these things, these deeds for God in God's name willingly, not as a slave, you know. And moreover, like Jesus was considered rebellious, you know, and all these and many people look to Jesus and pray in Jesus' name. I know I do. I know I pray in Jesus' name. Okay, so this is Parzival. And if you look at this guy, he's found this cup, and since he in this deck, the knights are called sons, and so the sons and the knights are still learning what their magic is, and in this case, this is the emotional magic. The cups, the suit of cups, are like their love language is the emotional vein. And they are the masters of it and the emotional realm. He's still a student. He has not reached the, you know, he hasn't. And I would even go as far as to say, if you pull a queen or a king, those are both the peak of the same suit, but one would be the yin and one would be the yang. Like, one would be the masculine and one would be the feminine version of that understanding. So the queen is like the master of the feminine energy, of the yin energy. And then raises the hand of Kali and Vajrayogini types. No. And what else? What's the other one? Who's the woman that got burned at the stake for saving her own people? Oh, bless her heart. Yeah, Joan of Arc? Is it Joan of Arc? She got visions. She got visions that they were going to get invaded, and she spoke of it, and then they got invaded, and they called her a witch. She was like a prophet. And she fought, too. She was like a soldier. The reason I'm bringing that up is because I don't necessarily equate being yin being feminine, because I don't necessarily equate femininity to being soft and gentle. So that's for a different conversation. I have this deck, this tarot deck, that has the moon. Traditionally, most tarot decks put the moon as a feminine force, and they put the sun as a young masculine force. And in this deck, they put the sun as the grandmother. That's just something to think about when it comes to energies. So yeah, so what made me come to Parsifal in the first place? Learning your own energy, coming like when you start realizing your responsibilities, it can be either underwhelming or overwhelming. But most of that whelmingness is all in the head. Like once you actually start trying the responsibilities out and on for size, you might either surprise yourself or be surprised at how easy or difficult things take form. And I have to say, I do think that that's the main problem with the world is everybody, if there is a problem with the world, it's that people almost aren't allowed to actually take care of their own responsibilities. Somehow somebody's always making up for somebody else's responsibility, and it seems really devious to me. It seems really like it seems almost cowardly to me for everybody to just kind of be like, wasn't me, or they didn't have to. Of course they didn't have to, because that wasn't their fate. You know, of course they didn't have to do that, because of course the fish didn't have to fucking walk. His fate was to fucking swim, because he's a fucking fish. He's not, I mean, I don't know if fish go through experiences where they think that, I wish I could walk, like an Ariel. Okay, anyways, I still have that doll, the Ariel doll from, she has legs. Ariel, when she has legs, doesn't talk, does she? Oh, Lord have mercy. Where am I going with this? So, the rebel. So you find really that when you really do start rebelling against God, it really does just hurt yourself. You really are just hurting yourself. It's at first it's kind of funny to see. It's like, oh, look at them, because but after a while it's almost like hard to see. It's hard to see people hurting themselves. It's annoying to see. It's boring to see too. It's like you want to say to somebody, you know better. I hold you to a higher standard. And then, people that, it's good. That's a blessing. That's a blessing. If somebody holds you to a higher standard, it might seem like a tough truth and, like, how dare you tell me who I am, kind of thing. But at the end of the day, it's better than wishing too low of standards, right? I mean, is it the same difference, or is it? I would rather you think that I can be something super, super amazing instead of something super, super terrible. But from some perspectives, it's the same difference. It's still, I think that's what people need to realize when they start creating things. It's a big part of creation, and it's a hard lesson to learn. That because it's hard because even if it's a piece of artwork or like a human being, like my son, my soon to be, he's 3.5 years old. He is his own person, and I have to do everything in my power to not discourage that person. Yet at the same time, I look at him like he's mine, But at the end of the day, like, what does that mean? He's like, nobody belongs to anybody in a lot of ways. And on the reverse side of the coin, you have to own it, right? Claim it, own it. That's the thing. When you claim it, when you own it, you can't receive your blessings with a closed fist. And I guess with the Hierophant reversed, when your fists start to close, you're saying this ain't a blessing. This is, I don't want this blessing. I don't want that which you're calling a blessing. What are you talking about? I should be grateful. What are you talking about? You don't really, nobody should have to be in that situation. That sucks, but it happens. It's part of life. Ultimately, the Hierophant upright is a person who is like a teacher. They teach. People are learning. They're a person of high posture, high position, high authority. They can tend to be leaning towards like a spiritual priest, maybe even politic type person. And people look to them, and this Hierophant holds a responsibility. This Hierophant is kind of, you could think of like Parsifal evolved. It's like he has you, according to everything, he's passed all the tests and the initiations. He understands his responsibility and what power is, and not just. And it is within his power and his responsibility to talk about it and to share it and to teach people about it. But like when you get like, teachers, or you get this horror stories about, priests or, adults. That's an easy example, is like an adult with children, even though, you're teaching your children right from wrong. It's obvious in some cases that an adult has the power. Like, a kid can't go out and get a job and buy a house and get a car and say peace the fuck out until they're 18 fucking years old. So the kid is at the mercy of the adult and the parent figure. And so that means food and shelter, basics, those basics. The kid appreciates that they're getting food and that they're getting fed, but there is a line, where you can't look at your kid and say, I feed you, every day. It's like, but the kid can't look at the parent and say, you fucking feed me now. Like, there's a fine line. There's a responsibility that each has, and an understanding that each has about the exchange. And it has, I want to say it has nothing to do with love, yet it's like all running on love. It's like, it has nothing to do with love. Like, you don't need to necessarily be saying, I love you and thank you so much. What you need to do is to complete the task, to complete, to understand that this that is showing up in front of your hand right now, this rock took a long time to make this. It's not just, like, I made this rock appear out of, something else is involved that made this rock just suddenly appear. Like, you are not just looking through a screen and seeing you know, manifesting this. There's something else to it that's I am holding the rock in front of the camera, you know, and no matter, and so this, it's a strange thing because as we learn our responsibilities, it's like sometimes there's no way to keep growing and learning if you refuse to like let go of old habits and old patterns that you've outgrown. And it can almost be blindingly obvious of like the things that we need to change. It's so obvious that it's like annoying. It's like why am I not letting myself evolve? Like what is stopping me? Like why am I, you know, but you can do that on a personal scale. You can do that on a massive scale. It's not a and then sitting with yourself with that kind of question and saying I accept myself is important. At least you're aware of something, you know? Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else I should pull from these cards? The album that's coming up to mind is No More Heroes by Soliloquists of Sound. We look up to each other whether or not we want to. And I think like at some point like it takes like a conscious effort to like look up to your own self and your version of the self that you want to be. We naturally look, it's not even that we're looking up to anybody. It's that we're reading our surroundings and seeing what the fuck is going on and how everybody behaves so that we don't, you know, cross any obvious boundaries, you know. Because some boundaries you can't help but cross. It's like, you know, if you're standing in a room that says, oh, only people who are, or if you want to go on a ride that, see, look at guys, look at that, Hierophant reverse. What is that? Oh my god, that's crazy. I love that. I love that. I got the Hierophant double reversed. And look, so this is the front. It's the same, it's like they're using the Rider-Waite imagery. This is the original imagery of the Rider-Waite. This is it upright. Look, and that's it. They tried to, and they did the, they tried to do a different perspective. So like, as you can see in this, these are students and they're learning from this person. And now these students are they're on the top now. These students are going, what the fuck did you just teach us? What the fuck did we just learn from you? What the fuck? Where is this misdirection coming from? And I'm not saying that this person is necessarily wrong either. We're in a Mercury retrograde's happening right now. That means miscommunication is everywhere. And that's so important to be able to just say, oh my gosh, this is, when you start getting frustrated with those that you love, just say, there is a miscommunication. There's a miscommunication happening and I'm sorry. Because all I want to do is communicate love and love and love and love. There's a misunderstanding. The Mercury retrograde is like, you know, tends to these necessary interferences that remind us how all good things take time and how important it is to be patient with just the natural processes of things. 55 too is matters of conflict. You know, if we live in a world where we believe that conflict is wrong and bad, then any type of conflict, it doesn't matter, you know, I think that like conflict is good. Challenges is good. A challenge means that you have an opportunity to grow. Sometimes the challenge is not challenging yourself at all, because we live in a hyperactive fucking society that asks us to consume and spend and move and talk and walk and do and be and see, and sometimes doing fucking nothing takes more effort than anything else. And not feeling bad about yourself or feeling like you're wasting away, or you'd be surprised. I mean, don't be, but have you ever tried watching a tree grow? It doesn't look like anything's really happening. In slow motion, it doesn't look like there's much happening at all. But somehow they last like hundreds of years, some of these trees. Cheers to the trees. Cheers to you on the new moon as well. Thank you for watching. So yeah, the conflict is it becomes sour if you believe that you actually like have a choice in the matter. And I truly do think it's how do I put this? When I was giving birth to my son, I screamed several times, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. But guess what? I had to push him out. I was afraid to push. I was in the moment right before I started pushing. And right after, our midwife said, you need to bring it down. And I brought it down. And then, bloop, it came out and it was over. And this taught me a big lesson, because a few years later I had to deal with some legal matters. And I can remember holding these legal papers and saying to myself, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And I had to do it. I had to take care of it. And it's not a matter of wanting. Wanting helps, though. Knowing what you want and don't want is half the battle. Keep that in mind. Figuring out what you want and what you don't like is half the battle. Try walking into a Starbucks. You have a new option every day. A different kind of drink, a new flavor, new syrup. And it took you 5 years to figure out that you just like a cup of coffee with a shot of sugar-free vanilla and a dash of almond milk. And it tastes good every time. And no matter what anybody says, you're always going to want that. And that took you 5 years to figure out, you know? Don't be deterred. Until the day comes where you're like, this doesn't taste right to me anymore. That will be the life-changing day that, you know, those moments where those seasons change and you outgrow yourself. And you can part ways with yourself with honor without it being some sad death. Some crazy fucking, you know, tragedy. You know, it's like, it can just be like, oh, thanks, you know? Because I definitely I'm not a personality that thinks that we need to look back at our lives and say, where did we go wrong? You know, my childhood. I don't know why people think that their childhood has to be the peak of their lives. I think it's because some children were raised by people who guilted them about the lives that they were given and the lives that they didn't have. I don't know what I just said. It's why I'm saying, like, it's important that we take care of our own goals and responsibilities. If you have always wanted to, for instance, play the saxophone, please take saxophone lessons. Don't have a baby and try to force saxophone lessons upon that child. Because no matter how good that child becomes at that saxophone, you're either going to resent them the day they decide to put it down for not appreciating the great gift that you gave them, or you're going to become competitive with them because you'll be sitting there thinking, I can do that the whole fucking time. There's something called a backseat driver. And that's when the person who's sitting in the passenger seat or the back seat tells the driver which way to go the entire time. It's not a good place to be. And I think that that's kind of what, when those kind of energies start to arise, this necessary sudden rebellion. It's not even a rebellion. It's like a spiritual reflex or something where it's like, no, like you can't fuck with me. Like, don't fuck with me. Like, there is missing information here. Like, something's being left out. Secrets don't make friends. And at the same time, you know, you shouldn't have to, like, go and declare yourself as anything or anyone either. Because who cares? Like, who cares? Now, I get it. Sometimes people get pregnant and have kids and happen to have to incorporate child raising into the daily activities, but I don't know. I think having an accidental pregnancy is different than having an intentional human being to indoctrinate and do what you never did. I just really, there's just something. And I think too that eventually children of parents have to humble themselves to their parents for the things that they do. You know. Lord have mercy. Fucking Hierophant. Are you kidding me? The Hierophant came out twice. Reversed. Should I read from the book? I have to. Okay, maybe I don't have to. I don't know. I'm a little bit tired right now. I've had a long day. I'm glad I got to do this reading though. Spirit can't ultimately fight itself. It can only realize itself. And no matter how many people agree with you and your transformations at the end of the day, like, you have to, if you need a bunch of people to tell you every day that you're on the right path, you know, you have to eventually be like, there has to be some sense of, yes, this is the right thing. Either in the sense that I know that this is not wrong. Oh, love. Damn. Love and the Lovers. Where there is no love, I don't know if there's anywhere that there's no love. There has to be love, a little bit of love everywhere, you know, somewhere. Yeah. This is a funny one. The end of transformation, right? Because in all of this energy of like the big changes that are happening, all these changes that are happening, the one thing, there is something that is consistent. Ask yourself that in your own personal day-to-days, like, of all of the changes and upheavals that you've seen, like, what has stayed the same? And is that serving you? Is that actually serving you, or is that actually what's holding you back? And it is what we're going to end on. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. God bless you.